In a previous video, I showed how I can use my winch in a pinch off the rear receiver hitch. But what if I get stuck in a ditch butt first? How do I get the winch on the back? The correct answer is I don't. I instead use the front receiver hitch. I'll walk you through what I did to make this happen. The simple method would have been to buy this receiver from Kirk Towing, pre-made and ready to go. But I wasn't sure it would fit my specific sport track. Mine has a 3-inch body lift installed. This causes the front bumper cover to sit higher than normal on the frame, which leads to clearance issues with the tow hooks and stuff. When I bought the sport track years ago with the body lift already installed, there were no tow hooks present. I went down to the local junkyard and found a set. When I went to put them on, the bumper cover plastic was in the way. That's when I decided to make the hooks fit. Hindsight being 2020, I could have done a better job on the trimming. Anyway, what's done is done. Back to what we were talking about. I'm making my own front receiver hitch. A receiver tube can be found on Amazon for less than $20 depending on the length. I also got this rusty scrap piece of 1/2 inch by 4 inch steel bar cut to the length of the inside frame. The bolt pattern spacing was easy to figure out. It's approximately 22 5/8 inches center to center, with 3 inches between the bolts center to center. I need to pull the bull bar off before I can install the steel bar. I probably shouldn't lay under it as I remove it. A drill press made easy work of cutting the holes. Okay, now we can get the steel bar in place and figure out our receiver tube depth. I'd like the face to be almost flush with the lower lip of the cover, which means I need to take about 2 inches out of the back end. Okay, let's tack this together. I've centered the tube on the bar with just enough overhang off the back to clear the radiator pack. I'm going to use non-shielded flux core for this job. Non-shielded flux core is kind of a quick and dirty way to weld. There's no shielding gas like in normal MIG welding, so flux core will weld hotter. The shielding comes from the flux inside the wire, which melts onto the top of the weld. It cools into a hard slag on top. The slag must be removed to see the weld underneath. There's also lots of spatter with flux core. Some of it can be reduced with the correct welder settings. Splatter can be knocked off with a chipping hammer or a grinder. This first pass wasn't super great. There was a large crevasse to fill where the tube edge bends, and filling gaps can be tricky. I'm going to grind the weld flat and make a second pass over the top. The second pass was a bit better, but still not super great. We do have penetration into each piece though, so these welds will hold. I think some more grinding and painting will make this look pretty. Something to note: when welding large pieces and putting large amounts of heat into an object, it can warp when it cools. This happens because the weld starts out as a hot puddle, and as it cools, it shrinks, pulling the surrounding material with it. This can be counteracted by welding a piece of angle perpendicular to the weld. The angle can then be cut off after the welding is finished. If you don't have the angle, or forgot like I did, you could stick the part in a hydraulic press to bend it back flat. Let's fit this receiver hitch up with the bull bar and see how it all looks. The front of the hitch comes out where I wanted it, nice and stealthy. All that's left is to make a piece that mounts into the receiver to hold the original brush guard part of the bull bar. That'll make the hitch disappear and no one will be the wiser. Except if you watch this video. I also need to redo some clearance for the tow hooks. But those aren't as important anymore since the hitch can now be used as a tow point. Now we can run the wire for the winch using the same Anderson plug connector as we did on the rear. This will make the winch hot swappable.